Can you believe the sand eats people? These slowly moving creatures are man-eating monsters. Anyone who touches the sand is sucked in and held fast. They're eaten alive in agonizing pain, leaving not a trace behind. A woman steps onto the sand and is immediately sucked down, unable to pull free. Then her hand is also trapped, the intense pain causing her to scream. Her boyfriend rushes to save her, but the sand pulls him down before he can reach her. He falls heavily to the ground, his body instantly stuck like glue. The monster's attack causes her to scream. Her companion tries to drive away, but the car won't start. They can only watch helplessly as the man is swallowed whole by the sand. Everyone is terrified. It's so awful. They feel like it's a nightmare, unbelievable. How can sand attack people? At last night's party, two guys found a strange meaty egg on the beach. Everyone wanted to try it. They roasted it over the fire. The next morning, Xiaomei noticed something was wrong. Everyone on the beach had disappeared. Only piles of clothes remained. A little sparrow was eating insects on the sand. Suddenly, it seemed to be sucked into the sand. It struggled frantically but was still sinking. Xiaomei was terrified. She quickly warned her companions, but it was too late. A woman had already stepped into the sand. She let out a heart-wrenching scream. She and her boyfriend, who came to rescue her, were swallowed. Everyone panicked. They wanted to call the police, but they had left their phones in the car the previous night. The desperate group began searching for a way out. Xiaomei reached towards the sand. An amazing sight appeared. Many small bean sprouts, as if alive, emerged from the sand one after another. Their soft, smooth appearance showed no aggression whatsoever. Just then, Depang woke up. He didn't know how much he'd drunk last night. He'd even drunk himself into an iron bucket. He grumbled and shook himself, trying to climb out of the bucket. The others panicked. They quickly told him about the monster in the sand. Scared, Depang hid in the bucket, too afraid to move. Suddenly, Xiaomei seemed to discover something. Goodness gracious, the strange egg from last night had cracked open. Now everyone understood. The monster in the sand must have hatched from the eggshell. This man, trapped in the iron bucket, had been exposed to the sun for 3 days and nights. He felt parched and his delicate skin was sunburnt. He carefully squeezed out some sunscreen and gently applied it to his skin. His expression showed pure enjoyment. The woman figured the newly hatched monster must be small. She threw a sausage onto the sand. A second later, it was pulled in. She threw several more, finally finding one far enough away that it wasn't pulled under. They had determined the monster's range, giving them hope. Escape from this area meant safety. Datsuan threw down 2 surfboards. He jumped on them and wasn't attacked. He used the surfboards to make a makeshift bridge. He slowly moved towards a nearby table, but as Datsuan approached the table, the cunning sand struck. It pulled the surfboard backward. Datsuan was forced into a plank position. Several tentacles emerged from the sand, stroking his delicate belly. Datsuan screamed in pain. He leaped onto the table. But his belly was already injured. The man felt dizzy. He lay on the table, about to faint, but his companions' cries roused him. He opened his backpack to search for something. A banana fell to the ground. Datsuan picked it up and noticed that the monster didn't eat bananas. He quickly tested this with the banana. When it neared the campfire ashes, the tentacles disappeared. The monster was afraid of the ashes. The man took a deep breath. With a crunch, he jumped onto the ashes, and he was safe. He had found a safe place for his companions. Datsuan lay down on the table and slept soundly. The situation seemed hopeless, so the director arranged for a police car to arrive. Everyone cried for help. They warned him about the monster in the sand and told him not to get out of the car. But Fu Boyi was a man of the world. He wouldn't believe such nonsense. He opened the car door and got out amidst screams. It's all over now. Surprisingly, Fu Boyi was unharmed. He was wearing thick soled shoes. They concealed the fresh, delicious treat. The police officer was bewildered. He told everyone to come to the beach, but at this point, no one dared. The enraged police officer reached for his pepper spray. Accidentally, his car keys fell. Everyone tried to stop him, but it was too late. The keys fell to the ground. The man grabbed for them. The monster in the sand viciously sucked his arm down. He struggled with all his might, but couldn't pull free. A second later, his entire arm was pulled into the sand. He quickly sprayed pepper spray around. The monster released its grip, but the man's arm was gone. The man, having never witnessed anything like this, collapsed on the beach. Goodness gracious! The tentacles were all over his face. The man was beyond saving. Finally, Xiaomei could only pick up the pepper spray while the man lay on the ground, slowly being swallowed by the monster. The young man had a sudden idea. He wanted to spray the pepper spray on cloth, wrap it around his feet, and walk out. While trying to get the cloth, he accidentally knocked over the railing and fell onto the beach. A swarm of tentacles instantly surged from the sand, piercing and consuming him. The young man let out a heart-rending scream, finally turning into a pool of blood. Xiaomei unleashed her primal strength, kicking away the railing in 2 swift kicks. She threw it onto the beach to create a safe path. They walked along the makeshift bridge towards the table. Unexpectedly, the woman stumbled and fell into the sand. Before she could struggle, she was swallowed whole. The black woman wrapped cloth around her feet and desperately ran towards the police car. She luckily climbed onto the hood. At that moment, Depang's blood attracted the monster. Huge tentacles burst out of the iron bucket. Clearly, the monster had grown several times larger. When the black woman woke up, it was dark. She climbed onto the car roof and found an inflatable boat. She used the inflatable boat to pull Xiaomei and Datsuan to safety, but no one expected a glowing tentacle to reach out and knock Xiaomei over. Xiaomei grabbed a gasoline can and poured it on the nearby sand. The glowing tentacle reappeared. She lit a match and threw it at the monster. The monster was instantly engulfed in flames. It thrashed its tail, screaming in pain. Finally, it retreated into the sand. The next day, tourists arrived and woke them up. Seeing that the man was unharmed, Xiaomei carefully stepped onto the sand. It was safe now. Finally, the two escaped. But they didn't know, the monster had evolved into a colossal beast, making its way towards the bustling city.